Hi everyone, it's Renee with Delaney Jane Cards. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share a few tips and tricks about mass producing cards. Here I have a couple of dies from Cheap Dies, and I have die cut those out of some glossy cardstock. I also created a jig for my sentiment banner, which is from Pink and Maine. I showed you in that little clip. It's like this cute little, I don't know, kind of like Wisconsin stamp set is what it reminds me of. It's all like farms and stuff. And as you can see, I die cut this out of a plain piece of cardstock and loaded that into my MISTI. And I'm just putting these die cut pieces inside the opening, and then I can stamp it over and over and over, and it just makes for quick mass producing. I also took the time to cut out all of my back panels, and I die cut different shapes out of each of these. This is a way you can make the same card, but it can look different. I just switched up the shape. So I am doing male and female graduates, and I'm making 2 of each design. And after I stamped all of my sentiment banners, I then moved on to adding foam tape to the back of all of my panels. This is a great way to mass produce one step at a time. And then I applied each one of these panels to a gray background backer. This gives me kind of a shadow, like a shadow box design, and it allows my little graduates to be inset or popped up or whatever. Just adds a little bit of dimension. So I did this to each one of these panels. That's one thing about mass producing, is if you just do things in steps, it makes things way easier. Just like this. Here are the card bases, and I am going through and I am stamping the inside on every card base. I cut all the card bases at once, I scored them all at once, and now I'm going to stamp them all at once. Once I have those pieces together, I'm going to move on to the next step, which is creating each of the card panels kind of in their entirety. I am going to either use liquid adhesive only to put the graduate in the opening, or on some I will use some foam tape. You'll see a little bit of that. And then each card panel is going to get one of these congratulations banners. Depends on the cutout, the layout, whether it's going to be on top or inside the cutout or on the bottom. And it also will depend on if I'm using all liquid glue or if I'm using some foam adhesive. I do use those large clear blocks to hold things down. And when picking the colors for these, I did kind of just pick some more common colors for schools. So like red, blue, aqua, black. I think the black one with the gold specks is probably my favorite, I guess. But here you can see I popped these little guys up with some foam for this one with the star, and then just added the little banner at the bottom, so it looks like they're kind of standing on these banners. Oh, here's some circle ones, or ovals I mean. And these were just several different dies that I had, just basic shapes. Some of them had details, like the red one is a circle and it has like a little detail around the edge. I think one of the blue ones, one of the square blue ones, also has a little detail on the edge. I used like an inside out square. It just adds a little bit of interest. A graduate really wants to know that you are thinking of them and that you could put money in their card, and these will allow for both. And I really just needed several graduation cards, so that's why I decided to mass produce these. But all of these tips and tricks could be used for any card. It gives you like I said, the ability to create in mass production, but everything is unique. So you have different shapes, different papers, kind of different layout, but all the same elements. And even when we get to embellishing them, you can see that I've done it kind of all the same way. There's a few little differences, but everything is very similar. Here's that circle I was talking about that has that cool little detail on the edge. When I was putting the foam tape on the back, I had to kind of cut it away from that so that it didn't poke through. But otherwise, I really do enjoy this little detail that's added on there. And I did use some tonic, shiny, or glossy black paper to cut out my graduates. Just adds a little bit extra to them, I think. And I did go back and forth between whether everything had foam tape or some things, or it just depended on the shape and the card that I was doing. So I went through all of my embellishments and I pulled out all sorts of things that could work, and I found these teeny tiny little brads. So I decided these black and gold splattered looking ones, which is a tonic paper, by the way, but I thought that those would look really good with these little metallic stars. And I did this to both the male and female card. And I just had this like mat underneath, and I used my pokey tool and I poked holes and flayed open the spines, I think they're called spines, of the brads, and created some star confetti in the background. And then I couldn't stop. I needed to add more and more. It was just fun. I haven't used brads in a long time, and I don't know, you'll probably see more of them because I'm really trying to use the things that I have. I don't want to buy more stuff. And I don't know how you feel about that, but you're probably going to see a bunch of things on my channel that you can't really find, but everybody that purchased them should maybe still have them. So these are just good ideas of things you can do, but also you can use similar items. So if you have a graduate dye, it doesn't have to be from Cheap Dyes, which I don't even know if that site's still up. I'll look, and if it is, I will try to remember to link it. But they had some really cool options on their site, and I do have several dyes from them. But it doesn't have to be from them. It could be from anything. You could just use a graduation cap. You could just use a sentiment in the center. You could do all sorts of things. You could not even make graduation cards. You could just use these tips and tricks, like making the jig or doing things in steps, as a way to create mass production of cards and allow you to just get more out of your time. I made 12. These 12 cards took me about 2 hours, and I don't think that's bad for completed cards, all the way up till including stamping on the inside of the card. Well, I was going to try to make her look like she was juggling these little stars, but it wasn't enough bling, so I added more, like she was throwing confetti around to the whole world. It was, it's a celebration when you graduate anything. Kindergarten, high school, junior high, college, with your doctorate. It's a celebration of how hard you've worked, and sometimes it's really nice to, set the graduate off with a little bit of, a hug with a fold in the middle. That's what cards are, right? They're a hug with a fold in the middle. You can send through the mail. I think it's pretty spectacular that we have this ability to send love and not just a text message. I think it's really cool to get mail that isn't a bill in the mail. So I would encourage you that if you aren't sending your cards, that you do so. I have great homes for several of these, and the rest of them I will put in my Etsy shop, and hopefully other people will find graduates that they would like to spread love to. Now this card here, I'm just using these little blue stars. I dug deep in my stash and found all of the sequin mixes and etc. that had stars in them, and that's kind of what I used. I really did think that they deserved stars. When I was putting these on, I did try to put the adhesive, the ATG, over the back of those brads. It just helps hold them down better. But these are very simple cards, and they don't really weigh much. They will be one postage stamp. They won't weigh more than that. And these are A6 cards. So these are 4.5 by 6.25. They're kind of an in-between size between 5 by 7 and the 4.25 by 5.5. You get just a little bit more room, but they're not super big. And I really do enjoy this card size. So here are my cards. You'll have to let me know if there's anyone in particular that you enjoy, or do you mass produce things? And thank you for watching. And as I always say, give cards generously. Bye.